And the third and last thing which I'd just like to say before we open up our discussion for questions is the rule of law. And this is something which the Quran and our Holy Prophet has stressed a lot, that the rule of law, and when we say the rule of law, it's not just religious laws that I'm talking about. It's the law that makes you the citizen of a state. For example, following traffic lights, or for example, not texting while driving, which is of course a rule that is incumbent for all of us to obey. So the Quran says following the rule of law is essential part of your religion. I mean, it's not just a civic duty to follow the law, it becomes a religious duty. And this actually elevates following the law to be such an important aspect in our life that the Quran goes on to tell us that the spirit of following the law is such that if you think that the law of the land clashes with, for example, certain tenets of your own religion, I mean, you might think that religion tells us one thing and the law of the land tells us something different, then yes, you can discuss and debate with those representatives of the state if there is an opportunity, or you can create that opportunity. But violating a law, even if it is against your own religion, is not an option. I mean, you can refuse obeying that law and you can undergo a penalty for that, but being insistent in not obeying the law is something which our Holy Prophet and the Quran tells us is absolutely not an option. So, I mean, it's just an ordinary thing that we at times compromise certain things just because we think that this is against the law. I mean, just to give you an example in point is the hijab controversy which has taken place in France. So we know that there's a hijab ban there, and there are women who would not wear the hijab, or they would wear the hijab, but because of the fact that there is a ban or a clampdown on wearing hijab in France, so Muslims are not able to express themselves. So the course or the way out in such circumstances would be that, of course, we would regard it to be a persecution or a form of persecution if the state does not allow a person or people to follow what they think is right. But at the end of the day, if they insist on that, then refusing to obey that law is not an option. Yes, you can migrate from that place. Yes, you can refuse to obey the law and then suffer the consequences of maybe going to jail or suffering a penalty. But insisting on not obeying the law is not the right thing to do. And I'll end my talk here with a very interesting incident which took place in my life many years ago when I was a student in my university. So one of my friends went to Tokyo in Japan for his further studies. So we just done our undergraduate studies in engineering, and he had this opportunity to go to Tokyo to pursue his graduate studies. And one fine morning, I received an email from him, and he said that, well, there is a ban for Eid namaz in Tokyo because some incident took place, and now they have banned public gatherings and public congregations of Muslims. So what we did was that we hired a gymnasium and we gave them the impression that we are going to do some exercise. We're going to go on the machines and pick up some weights. And that we did for 10 minutes. But as soon as this had happened, we immediately stood for prayer, and we actually offered our Eid prayer in this way. And we were able to, do what the authorities had actually clamped down on or had refused to do. And I was actually, he was describing this as a feat, as an accomplishment that they were able to they were able to offer the Eid namaz in spite of the fact that the authorities had not allowed them. So, the correct way here also would be that if the authorities have clamped down Eid namaz for some reason or the other, then, hoodwinking the law or bypassing the law as they did by hiring a gymnasium and acting out as if they are going to do some workout and then immediately offering the prayer as soon as they got the ground clear to them, is again not the right thing to do, because it's like, again, you think that you're justifying something because it's something which your faith tells you by violating the law of the land of that country. So this again is something that has to be really understood, because you see, when you live in a Western country or country with a non-Muslim country, this is one of the things that comes across so often, that at times you feel challenged, your faith feels challenged, and you feel that the country that you're living in has a different outlook. But remember, when you were becoming, or you were born here, or you were becoming citizens of this country, then you are in an unwritten bond of citizenship with the state in which you have upheld the fact that you'll not violate the law come what may. So the importance of this obeyance of law, the importance of following the law is something that has to be understood.